Hello and welcome to another video, and today I'm going to be ranking every single moveset in Rogue Demon so that you have a general idea of what's good and what isn't. This video will have 5 tiers in total and will be ranking every single moveset, including Hantangu since that moveset is strong enough to be ranked on this tier list. So let me explain the tiers real quick so you have an idea of what they mean. At the very top are the best movesets in the entire game. These movesets are pretty brain dead and are very strong, usually with some really brain dead combo, some really brain dead combo starter, and probably an evasive to top it off. Next up is A tier, which is movesets that are very good. These movesets usually have solid moves in total that let them do good damage while also avoiding getting hit. Meanwhile is the B tier, which are movesets that are solid overall, but not really that great. And up next is C tier, which are the mid movesets that kind of suck. They aren't terrible per se, but they definitely aren't that great. And in F tier are the movesets that are borderline useless, the ones you should stay away from unless you really just want to lose, or you want to challenge yourself. Either one works. So, let's get started, with the first moveset being Akiza, going right into the B tier. Akiza is a solid moveset, with really good combos extenders, but lacking in combo starters. This order is a good combo starter at close range, but it's very easy to zone Akiza out. And if you just want to, and you can really easily just run away from it if you don't want to deal with an Akiza user and their really dumb moves. So yeah, it can start really good combos from close range, and the fact that it has 2 moves that kind of make you invulnerable makes it really good for like catching people off guard in M1 trades, but if anyone's paying attention, they'll be able to counter you pretty easily even if you try to catch them off guard. So it only goes into B tier. Next up is Arrow, which is going into A tier. It's good, but it's got limitations, especially after recent nerfs, that keep it from going into top tier like it was before. Arrow is a good moveset, specifically because of its combo starter and its various really dumb combos. Arrow Ladder is a great move, unpunishable, starts a combo, and does some other really dumb stuff. The only issue is that it's very easy to block and pretty easy to predict too. But the main thing that makes Arrow really cool is that you can do some really dumb combos that kill people in a single hit, and you also have an evasive to top it all off. So if you get hit, you can still just like get yourself out of the combo without taking too much damage. So it's good. It's a pretty solid moveset with a very good, well-rounded abilities that make it pretty good. Next up is Tamarin, which definitely climbs up a lot because of the recent buffs to it. Tamarin goes in A tier because it's probably the best zoner in Rogue Demon right now. It can basically just spam projectiles and run and really badly annoy whoever you're fighting. It also does really good damage too on top of that, and because the projectiles auto-track, you really have to be careful. Play Ball in specific is a pretty good move because it also guard breaks, and while you can parry it, if you're paying attention and know that your opponent is good enough to parry the move, you can also just parry it. Also, if you're holding block and turtling, you can throw the move out and there's no way for them to parry it, so that's another thing about the move. And also it has Tamarin combo, which is, in my opinion, the best ultimate in the game. It's frame 1, makes you invincible, and can start a combo, or at the very least, lead into your other moves. So Tamarin is a very solid moveset that goes into A tier. Next up is Beast Breathing, which is at the very, very bottom of A tier. Basically, Beast Breathing's good, mainly because of its combos, but it's very, very limited because of a big issue it has, with that being the fact that it really just cannot get any great combo starters. It's crazy good at close range, and yes, Devour is a decent combo starter, but if someone decides to run from you, you're kind of screwed. Like, there's nothing you can do if someone tries to run from you. Devour can't chase runners, Explosive Rush cannot chase runners either, and you also get punished for trying to chase runners with it, and Crazy Cutting is a close range move. And also Palisade Bite is kind of a weird one because you can't really use it that well on neutral. You have to like use it in a combo or else it's going to miss. So it's kind of a moveset that you need a lot of skill for, and because of that, it goes into the bottom of A tier, and that's where it's going to belong. Next up is Hantangu, which is going to the very top of A tier. I was considering putting it in S tier, but because it's missing its ultimate, I can't put it in S tier just yet. Hantangu is ridiculously overpowered for what it has. The 3 moves it has are quite literally the best moves in the game. Well, debatably, because I'd say that Unknowing Fire is a slightly better combo extender than combo starter, a slightly better combo starter than Anger or Pleasure, but it's still ridiculously good. It already has like a borderline one-shot combo, and it's really dumb if you know how to use it. And even if you don't know how to use it, if you just spam moves, you're going to win. Like, Anger does good damage, Pleasure does good damage, and Joy does good damage too if you manage to hit it. It has 3 combo extenders. Like, that's basically the exact same as Water minus the ultimate. And I do not want to know what will happen if the Rogue Demon developers, for some reason, decide to make the ultimate also a combo extender. So yeah, this thing's ridiculous. I hope they nerf it into the ground later. But it also does 5 damage per M1, so that's another thing that makes it even more ridiculous. So yeah, that's how it is. Next up, Flame Breathing, which goes into, I guess, the top of, like, a little bit, basically on the same tier as Hantangu. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad. But it's also not particularly overpowered. I do main Flame Breathing a lot, so actually, you know what? Hang on, what do I think? Oh, okay, actually, you know what? I take back my words. I'm placing it in S tier. Not the top of S tier, but I'm placing it in S tier. So, Hantangu, oh no, not Hantangu. Flame Breathing is good because of Unknowing Fire. That whole move carries the entire thing. Because Unknowing Fire is a ridiculously good combo starter. Like, you can catch runners with it, with the M1 and the M2, and you can also iframe out of attacks with the M2. And there's so much stuff you can do with Unknowing Fire that it's ridiculous. And while Blazing Sun might not be that good of a move, it's still a combo extender, so damage is damage. So you basically just have like a good combo starter all the time, with a good combo extender to boot, to also accompany that, so that you can get good damage basically whenever you want. And you also have an evasive and an ultimate that is basically a win if you can land it, so yeah, it's good. Somewhere around S tier, and that's where it's gonna stay. Now we got Insect Breathing, which is going into C tier. The only reason I'm not putting this thing in F tier is because it can do some pretty good damage if you get lucky with your combos. The only issue is that luck part, because all of your moves do some pretty hefty knockbacks, so unless you're on a wall, combo extending can be really, really rough and really heavily up to RNG. Not that great of a moveset, if I'm being honest. And it's also really easy to punish. Caprice, Beasting, Dragonfly, and Centipede, all 4 of those moves, can all be punished and get a combo started on you. And against a lot of movesets, that is a death sentence. So Insect kinda sucks. C tier is where it belongs, end of discussion. Next up is Mist Breathing, which is sadly going to have to belong in F tier. Somewhere along F tier. Mist Breathing is garbage right now. It has a okay combo starter with Shifting Flow Slash, and that is where all of the positives end. Cloud and Haze is quite literally the worst move in Rogue Demon right now, basically just starting a combo for your opponent, and while Layered Mist is a solid evasive, it's still not that crazy, and even if you use it as a combo extender, you're basically gonna get screwed over if someone manages to land a hit on you. So it's a bit too risky to use as a combo starter, or extender. And for Obscuring Clouds, that move's fine. It's an okay counter if you can land it, but the issue is the if you can land it part. And if your opponent is smart and knows that you're going to be mashing your counter, they're just going to bait it out and your counter is useless now. Woohoo! So yeah, borderline useless, and let's move on. Next up is Nezuko, which is going to join Mist in F tier. I'd actually place Nezuko below Mist Breathing, in my opinion, just because it doesn't have as good of like a combo starter either. So, Exploding Blood, so basically Nezuko basically has 2 moves. Exploding Blood and Flaming Rage literally just do not exist. And if you're wondering what I mean by that, I mean that they literally are just useless. They don't do anything. Exploding Blood literally just gives your opponent a combo for free, unless they are AFK, and Flaming Rage also gives your opponent a combo for free, if you're close up to them and they're not AFK. So those two moves just suck. And while the ultimate is good if you can land it, all of that requires your opponent to be so ungodly stupid that they don't parry the move at all. So yeah. And for the other two moves it has, they're okay, but both of them are just worse moves of stuff that Akiza has. So yeah, it's not good. It's just Akiza, but it doesn't have anything like good about it. Like it's literally Wish.com Akiza. It's terrible. Next up is Sickles, which I'd say goes somewhere, I guess, along the bottom of S tier. The very bottom. And the reason for that is because Sickles has a great combo starter. Two great combo starters at that, one of which can only be used in an M1 trade, but I digress. And that makes it pretty solid overall. But the main thing about this is that if you're very skilled with it, you can really easily just bait people into falling for your attacks and get good damage off of it just for free. So yeah, it's also got 5 damage per M1, so all of your combos do a lot more damage than everyone else. It's really good, really solid, and I recommend you use this moveset if you ever get the opportunity. Next up is Sound Breathing, which I'm gonna place very slightly above Sickles. Actually no, on the same tier as Sickles, because Sound Breathing has really good combo extenders and starters, and the combo damage it does is ridiculous. And with String Performance M2, it can also do some really good damage as well. Like, it's perfect for catching people off guard, whether it be in neutral or like while you're M1 trading. Sound is really good for all of that, but the evasive it has is also like incredibly good, and with the right play, it can really do a number on your opponent and sometimes even start a combo. So it's definitely solid. Next up is String, which I'd say goes in B tier. The only reason String goes in B tier and not A or S is because the combo damage it has is relatively low. But like Flame Breathing, it has some ridiculously good combo starters that can do some really stupid stuff with the right play. So if you're careful with it, it's really good. I've seen good String users before, and they were absolute pains in the butt to fight, so it's definitely a solid choice if you want something good. Kind of a zoner in a way, actually, if that's your kind of play style. Third to the last is Sun Breathing, which goes in the very middle of A tier. I was considering putting it in S, but it doesn't deserve that. And the reason why is for a couple reasons. One, Fake Rainbow, which is a good evasive, has the main problem of having a ridiculously long cooldown, so if you get caught, you kind of just die, and that's not a good thing. Next up, Dance is really easy to counter. You can either just block it or dodge it, and same with the M2, that you can also just block it or dodge it. And while Creepy Sky is a ridiculously good combo extender, and sometimes a good block break up close, it has the main issue of just like, I don't know, it's really easy to cancel and also just like counter, So it's Sun Breathing solid, especially because it has the best ultimate in the game. That's not up for debate. Hinokami M2 is literally the best ultimate in the game, and there's nothing else that comes close to it besides maybe Tamari combo, but yeah, it's really solid. Next up is Thunder Breathing, which I'd say goes in debatably somewhere around A tier. It's somewhere in A. And the reason for that is because Thunder is annoying. All of the moves it has are frame 1, they're instantaneous, so it's impossible to react. But it's also really good for like zoning, which is what a lot of people do with it. People who run with Thunder Breathing are the most annoying thing in this entire game, and I hate them. But the fact that you can do something as stupid as that really does go to show how good Thunder Breathing is. So yeah. The main weakness of this thing is the evasive, because if you just hold block, then the user gets shut down completely. But it's still okay. It's not that bad. Anyways, we've got Water to finish up the whole thing, and Water is a tough choice. I'm gonna give it somewhere in S tier. Maybe around sound, sickles, or water. Because here's the thing with water breathing. With water breathing, you can pull off a one-shot combo out off of literally anything you do. The only issue is that people can also do the exact same to you. It is by far the best glass cannon in the entire game, but you have to really be careful with it. Water is also really bad for chasing after runners, which is another weakness of it, so yeah. But with the right playstyle, you can really turn water breathing into a complete menace, especially with Dead Calm. So really, water breathing is basically just a test of how skilled you are and how good you are at pulling off your combos. Because if you can do the right thing with water breathing, your opponent just dies. Yeah, that's basically all I have to say about these movesets. This tier list, of course, isn't an official one, but I'd say it's the closest you're going to get to an accurate representation of how good everything in this game is. This tier list comes from a lot of experience with stuff in the game, and I do know what I'm talking about with this stuff. So these are definitely things that you should kind of abide by when choosing what you want to use. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content that is just like this. As always, I'm Noob Eternally, and I'll see you next time in another video. Thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day.